Welcome to the Amateur's Advantage. I'm Laura Ashley, a Grand Prix dressage trainer and gold medalist rider, here to share the tools and principles that help riders and horses work in harmony no matter your discipline. Each week, I sit down with amateur riders, pro trainers, and equestrian professionals from every corner of the horse world to talk about the real stuff. Training struggles, mindset shifts, breakthroughs in the saddle, and how classical dressage can make us all better horsemen and women. Think of this as your tack room talk, your post-lesson debrief, and your barn family between rides. Let's get into it. I'm Laura, and we're here today with Rocky, my dog, on another episode of The Amateur's Advantage. Today we're going to be talking about preparing for the horse show. And I'm not talking about giving your horse a bath, packing all the right equipment, or putting in some braids. I'm talking about the training in the schedule that you need to have your success peak on show day. When we look at high performance athletes, we have a schedule as humans for what it looks like to be your very best on game day. And for human athletes, that can often look like targeting your workout schedule so that you're not too sore, but definitely strong enough for the day of competition. Maybe managing your sleep schedule a bit better. You might isolate away from social activities the night before or ahead of time to get your head in the game. Maybe there's some pre-game meditation. Maybe there's things that just don't settle well with your stomach before you compete. Maybe you've got to get extra hydrated. Whatever your thing is, those things are important for us as riders, but they're also important for our equine athletes. So when I'm thinking about competing, it starts way before I even put in entries. So my process kind of looks like this. Training's going pretty well. We're kind of headed on the right upward track, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like we might be able to go do a horse show and it would go well. So what does that mean for me? Well, for me is relative based off of what the goal is. So sometimes I'll have a sales horse and the goal is exposure. Do I think that the horse is going to have a positive experience in the arena? Are they going to be able to go and handle the sights and sounds of the horse show, make it around their test, and come out feeling happy about their day? And for that could be a win. Maybe it's not about the score. For another rider, maybe it's they're chasing their bronze medal. And anything over a 60% is like, woohoo, we got it done, we got the score we need. Maybe you're going for your distinction. Then I believe it's a 67% that you need to get your distinction. So maybe you're trying to get those marks up. Maybe you're trying to qualify for regional championships and you need a specific score to do that. Or maybe you're trying to win the whole class and you're trying to get a personal best and be the highest score at the horse show. So it doesn't matter what your goal is, as long as you set it clearly and you come up with a plan so that you have success for your personal goal. The really cool thing is about dressage competitions that we are competing against ourselves. As much as, there's scores for the class and they do rank us, it's also what did you hope to achieve on that day? And you can have 10 people in your class get a 70%, and we're all super excited about it and posting it on social media that we had an amazing ride. So it's not like there's a limit to success based on other people doing well. So we can all have a win on horse show day. So when I'm getting ready for the show, I think about what's the goal for that combination, for me and the horse or for the owner and their horse. What do we hope to accomplish? And do I think that I can fairly consistently live up to that goal? So things happen that are out of our control. One, we're dealing with a horse that has a brain of its own and free will to make decisions that we didn't intend for on show day. And so some of it will be out of our control and we have to roll with it. But the factors within our control, we have to manage. And those factors can be better prepared with a proper plan going into the whole thing. So I go, all right, things are going well. I can do all the movements in the test with ease now. I'm looking at the sheet for, let's say, first level test 1. and I'm going, all right, well, my lengthenings in the trot are going well. I'm schooling the leg yields at home, but fortunately they're not in the test. So we've got a little more time to work on that. 15-meter circles in canter, smoothing out. My center lines have been really straight lately. And it wasn't just one good ride. It was many good rides in a row. Like, I would say, I don't know, 9 out of 10 times when I do that 10-meter circle, I'm like, okay, that counts. There was no mistakes there. That's pretty good. Mistakes will happen, but if you're consistently able to perform the movement at home, odds are higher that on show day, you're going to be able to repeat and have good results. If things are hard for you at home, odds are low you're going to improve when you get in the show ring. You've got to already have that foundation rock solid so that when you go in and you've got the stress of show day, the extra atmosphere, I don't know, somebody got bucked off in the ring beside you, there's a bush that's flapping around, somebody drives a golf cart by. You've got to have that margin for error built into your preparation so that if at home you're riding for, I don't know, a 70% and you're just knocking it out of the park, but okay, your goal was to get a 68, so if there's some mishaps in there, you've still got a little cushion. So if things are on tight margins, you've got to have even better planning. So when I start to think about showing, I go, all right, how far out are we from the competition? All right, so the competition's about 30 days away. All right, I think that's enough time. What do I have to do in that time to be ready? Well, everything's really good except for this one movement still giving me a hard time. But even if I had a 5 on that movement and everything else was riding for like a 6, 5, 7, I'd still be super happy. So you know what? I'm going to keep working really hard on that, but I'm also going to focus on maximizing points in the areas where I already do pretty well. So what does that look like? That means accurate geometry, good corners, proper preparation for transitions. We don't need to give away easy points that are available to us with just precision. It doesn't take talent. It doesn't take a fancy horse to be precise with your riding. So we don't need to give away silly points because our circle is an oval or because when we were going to do that short side, we kind of just buzzed through it and it looked more like a half a circle than a corner, a straight line on the short side and another corner. And then when we go across that diagonal, we got to leave from the letter, not near the letter, not between that letter and the next letter, but literally at that letter. Is my center line straight? Did I actually go down the middle of the arena or was I off a meter to one side or the other? Was my transition when the horse's shoulder was at the letter? Or did I just kind of get near it and go, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be in canter and then kick them forward and hope it worked out? So if you've done your homework properly, all of those things will come easily to you, but that takes some practice. So going into the show, I'm doing training primarily and making sure the movements are ready and that I can hit those lines and figures with accuracy, but I actually don't start schooling the test until a bit closer to show day. And even when I'm schooling the test, say a week or 2 out, I'm still not drilling the whole thing start to finish, doing it again and again and again. I'm doing the segments of the test and making sure that those segments go well and not just drilling my horse from start to finish. I'm fortunate, my horses are very smart creatures and they do become creatures of habit and they will learn that we halt at X every single time. So I don't always practice my halts at X. Sometimes I practice my halts over at G. Or maybe at E, or maybe crooked across the arena on the diagonal. So I'm creative with my workouts to make sure that the horse isn't anticipating what might be coming next in the pattern. I also work on strategizing their mindset and their fitness coming in. So on the week before the show, I'm thinking about what my horse needs to have in order to have the right energy coming into the test. If I've got a hot horse that's pretty electric, we might be working pretty hard in the week leading up to the show to make sure that they're calm, cool, and collected when they get to a new atmosphere. If I have a horse that's been there, done that, and is a little bit more laid back, easygoing, low energy, then I might be saying, you know what, let's take an easy week. Let's do the bare minimum and then go for a hack or have a rest day so that the horse is feeling fresh and ready to show its absolute best. I know as a rider, I go through a major adrenaline dump when I have a horse show weekend. I am cooked on Sunday night or Monday morning or all day Monday from just the amount of mental exertion that goes into a show weekend. So leading up to the show, I might be doing more rest and recover work for a horse that loses energy in the show ring. It's the same for the horses as it is for me, that some of them get there and they emotionally crash. It was so much for them to get to the show and off the trailer, and I was nervous and I was sweaty and oh man, it was a big day, and then they get halfway through the test and they go, oh, I'm so tired. I can't do another lengthening across the diagonal. I'm just not going to make it. And you're almost like pushing them through the whole test, begging them to make it to the final halt. So I have to know what my horse's energy is going to be like and plan accordingly so that I have that right amount of power going into show day. Now, it's not all just about movement preparation, preparing your pattern, and energy level, but it's also about how their bodies feel. So going into the show, we think about what is going on in our team. I won't do a farrier reset before a competition. If the farrier's at 5 weeks and we're due to have new shoes, I'll postpone until the next week on Monday or Tuesday because I don't want to mess with any factors right before we go in the ring. Now, if we're at week 8 on a trim, I might take the gamble and have a fresh foot going in so that they're more balanced if the toe had gotten really long. Now, it's rare that a horse in my farm would ever get that far out, but it's something to consider if maybe you have less access to professionals in your area. We also look at chiropractic and massage stuff. So, are they body sore? Did they have such a big week leading up to it that they're feeling worn out? If so, then I get my team involved in that, and we do chiro and massage to help our horses feel the best for show day. I also use the sports innovation blankets, and that helps with my horses' recovery as well, making them feel better in their muscles going into the show ring. Sometimes I'll actually do the massage work myself. I am not formally trained in massage, but I have enough intuitive feel for the touch of the horse that I can read kind of where their pain points are and help them through that. And we make sure, of course, their tack's properly fitted, their bits are in a good place, their dental work was done recently, there's no crazy changes in their diet. Everything in their nutrition plan stays pretty consistent. The only thing that we've done is sometimes magnesium helps a horse to feel better in their body, or maybe we do a tube of Perfect Prep if they're a bit more of a nervous Nelly type for the show, but nothing too extreme to get them set up. For test preparation, we'll take the test in segments, and sometimes I'll say, all right, you're going to do the whole trot tour, no breaks. You've just got to see it through. I don't care what happens. You have to ride the entirety of the trot tour. And that's sometimes really hard for my perfectionist riders because they want to make it better and they know it wasn't good enough and they know they can put out better effort than what they just showed me. But on show day, there is no redos. So you've got to get comfortable with riding through those icky moments, letting go of it, and then continuing on with the test. Other times, I'll say, that was not what you should be doing. That is not good enough. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Or do it again on the next long side, and then the next time around, we'll keep going with the test. So I'll work a little bit of both so that the rider gets used to doing it perfectly, or as close to it as they can, and also doing it, dealing with that it wasn't good, managing your mistakes, and then carrying on. There are no redos in dressage. You can't add in extra circles. You can't tell the judge, ooh, that wasn't good enough, let me do the entry again. You've just got to keep riding. And the mind is one of the hardest things to control in those moments. So let's say that you broke from canter to trot right before you went into your 15-meter circle, and your brain goes, oh my gosh, I just messed up so bad. We're going to have a 4. Oh man, they must think I'm stupid and I shouldn't even be in this level. I knew I wasn't ready. I'm such a failure. I should just quit now. My score is going to be the worst. I can't believe that's going to be on my record. That is tough. But those are the kind of thoughts that kill your chances in the show ring. Controlling your mind as an athlete, as a performer, as a competitor is so challenging. But those negative thoughts, they don't help you to do better. They don't help anybody. And honestly, most of them aren't true. Your trainer doesn't care that you made a mistake. They're glad you're out there doing your best. And they've been in that situation too. And they're there to support you. And the judge isn't thinking you're an idiot. They're saying, man, that's tough. I've had that happen to me as well. And they're hopeful that you keep going and trying through it. A lot of these self-deprecating thoughts are really just in our head. We're our own worst critic. And when you can get past that, then you don't waste energy or time or strides on this negative mindset. So instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm the worst, I just broke into from my canter to my trot, go, well, that happened. All right, what am I going to do about it? Okay, I'm going to half halt. I'm going to prepare my horse and rebalance them. And now I'm just going to ask for another canter to part. Oh, goody. I got my canter back before the circle. Yes. All right, I'm going to ride this circle, the best circle I've ever ridden, so that then I can get like an 8 on this movement. And then that'll kind of make up for that little whoopsie moment that happened in between. There's always a chance to recover. Keep going. Try again. Do better on the next movement. That's the really cool thing about dressage is the judge doesn't look at what you did and go, wow, that person has no business being in my arena. I'm just going to write them off. I'm done with them. They go, well, that movement scored a 1. Oh, wow, that movement scored a 10. Amazing. Judges can use the entire range of scores in one test. Your horse could rear completely vertical in its first halt, and then you could get a 10 on your last halt. There's nothing that says, you're out, we're done with you, forget it, don't even bother, you should retire now. And so you can always improve upon what has happened, keep your chin held high, and keep moving forward with the rest of your test. So I look at my test at how the movements are chunked, meaning that, all right, I'm coming into the arena, and then there's a halt, and then there's a track left. So I come into the arena, I halt, my horse accidentally canters out of the halt. Do you ride the canter through the turn and then deal with it later? No, you get your horse back to trot, because after the turn, there's another movement coming up, and if you're in the wrong gait, well, then they're going to have to score you poorly. But if you get back to trot, then it's just one little blip on the radar. And so if you know where those chunks are, then you can kind of save yourself some points that way. Let's look at, you broke out of the canter before that 15-meter circle. Well, that 15-meter circle gets its own score. So whoopsie, you had the break, but don't let that break bleed into the rest of your movements. I think about it as a tourniquet. Stop the bleeding on your mistakes. You had one, that's okay, but don't let it roll into another. And that means proper preparation, not just hurry up and kick your pony and go. Because let's say you broke. Let's say you broke from your canter and now you're trotting and that 15-meter circle is coming up and you just boot your horse with both legs and pray that they canter and they get the wrong lead. Well, now you got to bring them back to trot again. And then once you trot, then you're going to have to set them up another time, and now you're already on the circle, and you've missed half your circle, and now you've got to canter again. Versus if you just gave yourself a split second to breathe, regroup, and come again, you could have properly prepared your horse for better success on the redo or the solution. So I think strategically through my test about how to manage problems, how to maximize points on geometry, and I make sure I know that test inside and out. Now that's not to say that I don't have brain farts. I normally keep my cell phone on hand and I have the test screenshot and I keep it up on the front ready to go. And right before I go in the ring, the last thing I do is I look and I go left or go right, go left or go right, left. Okay, good. Got it. Go left, go left, go left, go left. Ooh. And I have had that blackout moment where you're like, I don't know the next movement. Oh my gosh, what do I do? It happens. Great thing is, in dressage, the judge rings the bell and they go, sweetheart, did you know there was a circle there? And you go, sorry, ma'am. Yes, I'll go do it right now. And then you're fine again. They don't do anything like kick you out of the arena or rip up your score sheet and tell you to leave. They just ring a little bell and say, hey, honey, this is what you missed, and you get back on track. You lose some points, but that's the worst of it. Your world doesn't stop spinning because you made a mistake. But you should know your test. You can't have a reader. I honestly find that they're distracting. I end up listening to the reader, and then the wind will pick up their voice, and then I'll be like, was it P or B or E or V? I don't know which of the letters they said was coming up next. Oh my goodness. And then I panic myself, and then I forget what I was doing, and then I stop riding the horse underneath me. So for me personally, I've got to have the test memorized, and I've got to be able to just live in my own head through the test. The more comfortable you get with the test, the more time feels like it slows down. So instead of just going, all right, I trot in and then I hold and then I trot out, you go, okay, I trot in and then I add a little bit of power to the trot. I manage the straightness. My horse likes to drift left into the halt, so I'm going to close my left thigh, be a little supportive with my left rein. Okay, that's better. Coming into the halt, slow, slower, slowest, thighs on, sit deep, and whoa. Breathe in, breathe out, salute. Okay, I'm ready. Get my reins back together. All right, I like the notch that I'm on. Equal legs, seat bones under, and we're off to trot. Okay, now build up the power. Good. All right, I like that. Now we're coming up on the turn. I'm going to prepare my horse. A little bit of flexion left, inside legs ready, and here we go, bending through the turn. I can get all of that out of my brain on one movement, one center line, because I feel like time is moving in slow motion when I'm showing. And I actually kind of do better when I'm in a higher level because then the tests feel a bit busier and it gives me something to think about. The ADHD is bad, man. So I'll be riding around and be like, oh, look, Susan's here and she's got a camera. Hi, Susan. I'm like, no. You're showing. Focus. Ride the horse. So I have to give my brain enough to stay engaged in the ride and focused on what's coming up, the next movement, the next feel, how I can prepare my horse properly. So there's a lot of strategy in riding a test well, preparing yourself physically and mentally, as well as your horse physically and mentally before you even get to the showgrounds. Speaking of showgrounds, I do my best to get the horses there before show day so that they can get familiarized with the atmosphere. I'll normally take my horses, if it's a local venue, weeks before, if the opportunity exists for an open schooling. Let them walk around the grounds, check it all out. And if I'm doing a travel-in show, I try to get there the day before. And they get a schooling day, and they'll get a walk around the property, they'll get some hand grazing. I'll show them all of the scary flower boxes and the judges' stands, whatever I can, so that when they get in the arena, they're more at ease. Some of the horses, when they get there, they need a lunging day because I don't want to get on something and then regret that I swung my leg over it later. Others of them, they just need a long walk on the buckle and they'll be fine. Some are seasoned pros and they've been there, done that. Yeah, another horse show, not impressed. But it's not always just for the horse, it's the client too. What does the client need to feel prepared to go in the ring? If they're a nervous rider, they might see that there's a wheelbarrow over there and not trust it. And oh gosh, my horse is going to spook at that. It's going to be a problem, and they get worked up. So sometimes the preparation at the show is more so about helping the rider to calm down than the horse to calm down. A lot of it comes down to being ready for success. Are your horse show entries correct? Did you remember your vaccines and your coggins? Did you get there early enough to get your number? Do you know what ring you ride in? Do you know where the warm-up is? Do you know how long it's going to take you to get from the warm-up to the show ring? Did you give yourself enough time to get your horse's boots off before you go in? Does your friend have a bottle of water for you? Is there someone that's willing to stand on the sidelines and hold a camera for you? Is there a videographer? Did you give the videographer your number and your money so that then you can get all the things that you want after the show? Do you know where the wash racks are? Is one of your horse's barnmates screaming back at the stalls, wishing that he would come back and keep him company? Like, there are so many things that can happen, and we are trying to strategize that our horse and our rider are most calm, cool, and collected going into the arena. I was talking to one of my jumper students, and he's like, dressage is cool and all, but you can't prepare a month in advance for a jump off like you can knowing the test for dressage. You get out there and you've got these turns just coming up on you, and you've got to think strategically in the moment, more like if you were a football player or a soccer player where there's actions coming against you, and you've got to mitigate those problems and those risks and strategize live so that you can make the best decision. Some of that happens with dressage, with fixing our mistakes as we go, but most of it's more like ballet or theater performance or a musical performance where you've got all this time to get yourself ready for the big day. But the thing is, the big day's got to be perfection. It's got to be so beautiful, harmonious, flawless is what we're aiming for. Dressage is the passionate pursuit of perfection by the perpetually imperfect. And so we are trying to do everything that we can to make sure that things go well on show day and strategize out so that everybody's on the same page, your team's got all the details handled, and you can show up and ride your very best. So for me, that looks like that tonight I had a nutritious dinner. I rehydrated with some electrolytes. I am not going out on this Friday night. I am staying home filming this podcast, hanging out with my puppy, and then putting on some PJs to tuck into bed because I've got an early morning and I need a good night's rest. My show clothes are clean and I think I know where they're at. My boots should have been polished, but I'll have time in the morning. I've mapped out my entire schedule to the minute for the day. I know when I need to be up, when I need to get to the barn, how long it'll take to bathe, how long it will take to braid, putting my tack into the trailer, loading up the horse, how far is the drive to the show. My number's already on my bridle. My tack is clean currently. I know what ring I'm riding in. I know what time my test is. I know how long I need to warm up. And I also have clients showing too. So I've got my ride coordinated around my two clients' rides and all the details intertwined. So I'm where I need to be coaching and competing at the same time. So I'm doing everything I can to manage the details so me and my team have an excellent competition. So fingers crossed for tomorrow. My one young horse will be showing training 1. My other client will be showing third 3. And then my previous working student will do first level test 1. So we've got a great day ahead of us, and I'm going to call it a wrap so I can be ready to compete. That's it for today's episode of The Amateur's Advantage. Rocky and I have loved having you here, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us today. That's it for this episode of The Amateur's Advantage. If you found something helpful, share it with a barn friend, subscribe wherever you listen, and leave a review. It helps more riders to discover the show and join our equestrian community. Don't forget to follow Laura Ashley Dressage on Instagram and other social media channels for more tips, behind-the-scene content, and updates on future episodes. Join us next week as we continue to unpack real-life training challenges, mindset shifts, and how classical dressage principles can help solve problems for riders and horses of all disciplines.